Hello, it's me, Anna. I'm back. It's been a while since I've made any videos. It's actually been a while since I played any games. I've been traveling, dealing with some family issues, and had to take a break from gaming, priorities in the right pecking order. So, Teddy's Haven has had a few updates, and since my last video, I also increased my shop size and did a bunch of things back from when I last played. But I have learned that Teddy's Haven has had a few updates since I haven't played. And I updated the game, and we're going to give it a try and see what these updates have done. Also, normally I record the game at nighttime when my family's asleep and everyone's quiet. But unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of doing that this evening or this week. So I'm going to try during the day. My husband's at work, so I won't have any interruptions there. But my dogs, they bark at flies. So who knows what they'll be barking at as far as what sounds go. So I will do my best to edit out any inconvenient audio before I post this video on YouTube. But in the meantime, we'll give this a shot and see how it goes. It would be nice to be able to do these recordings during the day when I actually have alone time and quiet and downtime. I'm busier in the evenings and I gotta squeeze gameplay in, but we're gonna give this a whirl and see how it goes. So for anyone that has played the game, you look over there where my mouse dot is, and I am using a controller, but I say mouse dot because a lot of people use keyboard and mouse, like that's me using the mouse, but this is also me using the controller, so both things work. But where the cursor is, the dot, this is a buff. So when we go up and visit it, we're gonna get extra sales buff and extra material buff for the day. And then I always look around, look and see if there's any more, because sometimes there's a few. Yep, there we go. There's our friendly dragon. And then there's also the daily one in the back. So we're going to visit all three before we start our sales day. And we'll also take a look at the store. And I gotta be honest with you, I really don't know where I left off at with store expansion. So I'm going to be refreshing my memory along with you. But let's go and see what some of the updates and improvements have done for us. First thing we want to do is go back to our farming. We also are into a new season. So we want to, there's me not remembering what the controls are with a controller, right? But yeah, we're going to try and get back into our routine, which a new day is upon us. And that means we need to water our plants if we have any, or plant seeds and water them. And then also harvest for our bees. And let's see here. So let's get our honey that's used to make fizzy brew. And I have 6 for a reason. Because not only does my store sell it, honey by itself, but I also use a lot of it to make fuzzy brew. And it looks like we need rain. And these little jars right here are enchantments. So I've been making different enchantments because they make up different brews. So not only are you able to get the actual brew, but then, or the vegetables that are in the game, but you can actually use aether of varied different bottles and types to make different vegetables and things. So what I've been trying to do, and if I remember the last time I played, was try and get everything from the red bottles and then, switch up and then rinse and repeat until I have all the vegetables learned. So that's that. And we'll go over here and harvest some eggs. And let's get over here. Love on this one and this one. Okay. So before we go to these other buffs that we discovered have appeared for the day, let's fly over to the back corner and get the daily 10%. That's pretty much routine. And then also there's a ram toy over there to get. Just something I've grown accustomed to doing every single gameplay day before I open the store for sales. And I usually try to grab a few things along the way, like this fur, so we can make threads and other things. So let's love on these animals. And since we are in a new season from the last time I played, it's winter now, we also want to collect some of the different berries and things, kind of make sure our stock is full so that when the seasons change, we can still keep making the items from this season without running out. So, and it looks like I got over 1,000 of these nightshade berries, but I'm a little OCD when it comes to making sure I have more mats than I need. So I usually try to keep a consistent stock of 1,500 or more, because you're making jams, you're making brews, you're doing all kinds of things with these materials. Yeah, so I don't need any more ghost berries apparently. Let's pet the cat, give it some love. There we go, that's Callie. And let's head over to this routine everyday 10% buff back here. I know everybody's got different names for these things, you know, mythics, buffs, whatever you want to call them. You know, if I'm not politically correct as far as what the game prefers these things to be called, I apologize. To me, I play other games. These are buffs to me, and it gives me extra sales percentages and mat collections and things depending on what they are and when they appear. But for lack of a better term, we are buffing up the character and the gameplay and the sales days, so I just stick with buffs. All right, and see, we got our 10% on profits, and then back here is a little computer. You hit that every single day, you get one RAM toy. And it's kind of cute how the developer called this RAM. You know, RAM is associated with computers, but then the little toy is actually a RAM. So, and they sell pretty good. They're pretty high-end sales. So you don't get a whole lot of them, you only get one. So I always like to collect one for each day. So let's fly back. I don't need any other or more of these mats for the moment, and I can always farm them while customers are going in and out of my store. I want to get over and get these buffs for my mat collection. I know that the little rock dude, not little, the large rock dude behind the store will give me a muff on mining. So I don't want to mine just yet, these rocks, until I get that buff. And I don't recall what the dragon will give me, but once again, I just want to kind of get back over, activate them, then go back, check my store, make sure everything's in play. And then while we're selling for the day, we can go around and utilize the buffs that the mythics give us. One of the updates that I read up on that we got since I have played last, is the book inside the store has received some organization, which I am so happy for, because it was one of the suggestions that I put on Steam for the developer to improve upon, give us an opportunity to organize and sort and better utilize our inventory. So I'm excited to go through that. But let's see what this guy's going to give us. I'm pretty sure I remember this is mining. All right. And exactly. So 3 times the amount on mining and a 50% profit back. So we're already up to 25% extra on our profits for the day. So that's cool. And if you see me moving slowly as I turn around and such, if you've watched any of my prior videos, I experienced really awful motion sickness in this game. It's enough to break the game for me to the point where I can really only play for about 45 minutes to an hour and then I feel nauseous. So I have slowed down my camera movement and my sensitivity settings to the point of they're at the lowest of the low. So I apologize if I'm not moving around with my camera view as fast as even I would like, but I love the game. I like playing it, but if it makes me sick, I can't play. So bear with me on these settings as we move around a little bit. It's really just to keep me from feeling miserable. And that has to do with a head injury that I had when I was younger. It was a pretty bad head injury. And I know that you can't really get diagnosed with TBE, traumatic brain injury, TBI, actually, to be more correct. But it's been told to me by many neurologists that there isn't a shadow of a doubt I have it. You really can't get authentically diagnosed until you're dead and they do an autopsy. But based on MRIs and tests and symptoms from that accident that caused the head injury, anything rapid movement. But ironically, on a boat, I don't get sick, so who knew? But in a car and in a video game, I do. Okay, so let's talk to him. See what he's gonna give us. We're already at 25% profits. This reminds me of the dragon in Spyro. And we got another 15%. So what is that? 30%. 40%. And 3 times max. So this is good. Let's just go over here too. And there's a couple of rabbits up here. One of each. That gives us materials that are rare because you don't get so many of them. That's it. And then this one. And last, I like to check just to make sure we're not missing any other mythics that have shown up and populated. All right. So we're at a really good profit margin for the day. And let's go down and take a look at the store so I can refresh myself on how my store looked before I haven't played for a bit. That little bubble is the new fishing that's been added. That's not new since I ceased playing for a bit, but it is new to the game. So we may be able to play with that for a little bit during this video. But I'm just going to fly down to my store and show you all what I've done with the marketplace, with the store itself as far as expansions. See if there's anything we need to do before hitting that button to get sales. I'm going to drop down. So I added this marketplace. Now, the developer hasn't given us roofing, so it's just a flat roof for now. But inside, I organized and created different rows for shopping. And we have fruits and vegetables. And when I talked about the red vegetables that come out of by using the ether that you make to make different types of vegetables, like this one right here. Oh, wrong button here again. So this is a red vegetable that was created by using the ether or ether, however you want to pronounce it, as fertilizer. So there's a few extra vegetables in there that the ether was used with. And then also we have different milks. So this is dragon's blood milkweed. So we got the normal milkweed, we got the dragon's blood. We also got this milkweed, which is honey glow. It's a different kind of ether. So once you get your regular milk from the cows and your milkweed from growing on your farm plots, you can fertilize those plots with different ethers to get different types of milks and vegetables and so on. I threw the seasonal jams here, and each season I've been changing it so that whatever is popular for that season is easily obtained in the marketplace with the other fruits and vegetables. And also another thing that can be used with the ether is the different cheeses. So this is like a normal cheese down here. And then this is fresh silk cheese. And then we also have the dragon cheese. So making those ethers is really important to increasing your stock volume as far as variety goes, and actually, better profits. So why did I put this market here? I was watching a video on YouTube a while back where a player had stated that your sales, as far as rapid producing profits, could be based on traffic through the portal. And if a customer can get through this portal, shop quickly for what they want, maybe they only need a few fruits and jars of something, they can purchase and get back out through the portal. And as each customer leaves and goes back through the portal to wherever they come from, another one can come through. So since I noticed a lot of the customers do just come for fruits and vegetables and jams and things and whatever's seasonally popular at the time, I created this marketplace right by the portal so that those particular customers can get in and get out, which would allow other customers through, in which case increase profit. So that was my logic. This is a little, I think the farming bubble talks to you about farming, and I don't know why it keeps reappearing because I'm past this, but it's something that the game gives you, so I normally ignore it, but for video's sake I'm showing what it's for. And this is your save crystal. So when you walk up to it, you can save your progress, and also going to sleep at night saves your progress. But if you have a crash in your game, or you have to quit the game suddenly and didn't get a chance to sleep, then that would be something you could do to save your progress. along the way before going to sleep. And then here's our store. I hung a sign and I had some vegetation. Now you'll see that I've changed the layout some. I still have some more editing to do in here. I also have this little guy right here. If you haven't played the game, then I'm not going to spoil what he's for. But when you do get him, just keep giving him love as often as you can. It helps you level up his gauge there. I put an aquarium in here now that we have fishing. So you can actually add fish to your aquarium and your customers can purchase. I added some container farming, and I also added some ether to that so I could make different types of things from growing the seeds. So let's go ahead and water them like we did with our plots, and then put it back. I know that there's an achievement involved with this little thing, but I still don't know what that thing is for. I've been playing long enough, you'd think I'd know at this point. And like to open the windows. This is where you destroy things. And don't forget every day to hit this block and get some free money. And there is an achievement for dealing with this right here. Eventually, the little knife comes out of the block, but once you get the achievement, it doesn't really do much for you. I don't open this register anymore and tend to the customers because I have employees now, which they're in the marketplace. You check people out and take their money. This is the book of almost everything, and apparently it received an update, and that's the book of summoning. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So we do need to pay our tribute. We also need to pay our employees. And that's finances. Let's go to upgrade. So we could spend our money that we have over here on these things. I'm not going to at the moment. I'm trying to build up my money so I can get expansion upgrades. I need 20,000. I have 19. My next sales day would give me that, but I don't want to exhaust all of my finances just on an upgrade and then not have any money. So I'm going to go through a few sales cycles before, we expand again. And then you can hire additional employees if you want to. I'm doing fine with 2 stalkers and 2 cashiers, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then as far as the Book of Summoning, this is where you can buy things. I always like to look at this and see what I'm low on. This number right here will tell me how much I have in stock, if I need more. And it looks like we're kind of good here. I'm just going to buy another one of those and those and those. I always like to keep extra stock. So sometimes I don't have to do this. Sometimes I do. It just depends on the sales and, how much has been depleted off the shelves. And it looks like we're doing pretty good here. We have enough toys in general. Let's get a few more. And yeah, right near we need some dragons. And looks like we're good on horses. As far as vegetables go, stock looks to be good. Get a little more broccoli maybe. And I think we're good here. So let's look at our weapons. I like to always make sure I have an abundance amount of those because they seem to go quickly. And let's see what else we got here. I'm depleting my sales up there, but I'm still doing pretty good. I don't know, I'm just anal about overstock because I know I might forget to come in here and restock and then I'm out of something. So it helps the stalkers that I've hired to keep things fully stocked. Okay, and so this is a PIA. Let's go back here and I'll show you what happens here. So there, oh, that's the wrong menu, I'm sorry. Let's go here. So this icon right here, 2 bag of endless storage. I never remember to check that. Because if I did, all these boxes that have now piled up would automatically go into this storage bag. So now I have to manually put them in the bag. And I wish there was an automatic. It does unlock at a specific level, but I wish that once you click it one time, it just stays checked. Because it's just not something I think about before I go shopping in the Book of Summoning. And as you can see, I'm wasting time by having to put these individually one at a time in my bag. I wish the developer would code this so that once you check it one time, it's always checked unless you uncheck it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So if you don't remember checking it, or remember to check it, then this is what you end up having to do. A minor inconvenience, but in theory, time is money. So I could have started the sales day and get the customers rolling in, but instead they'd be tripping over all these boxes. And in theory, in this game, they really don't. It's just aesthetically not pleasing. And I don't know if neat and tidy affects the customers' personalities and buying habits. In a lot of Sims games, the way a customer or a character feels about things, like if you ever played The Sims, if you don't clean up their trash in the yard and, you know, give them food and stuff, they get miserable and cranky, and it affects their mood and the gameplay. So I don't know if that's factored into this game, but if it is, at least I'm being proactive. Let's give Teddy another little piece of love. So for my last video, I've modified the store quite a bit. I walled this off to add additional shelves for additional products. And I've made a hallway. And on the right side, I've added entry into small rooms, with each room stocking things of similar type and value. So this is crystals, and then what the crystals make. And then also there's ore in here. I can make ingots by using dragon. I can make these gem trophies with these right here. So I kind of try to keep it all together, crafting in the room of the item that it belongs to. We'll get to this left wall over here in a minute. Let's go into the second room. So this is all my fizzy brews, and I've acquired more. I've literally maxed out the game's fizzy brew menu. So now it's just a matter of making stock and inventory and keeping it replenished. So usually what I'll do is, as the sales day starts, I'll come over here and take some inventory, see what I'm low on, and then go ahead and stock the shelves. And I've kept the shelves relative to the seasons. So as you can see, there's little signs. This is for winter, fall, summer, and spring. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the vast amount of sales during a season are going to be with seasonal items that are relative to that season. So I usually want to make sure I have extra stock, and I'll come in here and make the fizzy brews, and need honey for that. As you saw, I had 6 honey makers, so I'm good there. And then this is the cheese maker. I'm going to actually add a second one as I create more aether to make different cheeses. This is my potion room, and I've kind of maxed out on the potions as well. until the developer adds more variety. We're at the max amount of potions that you can buy and add to your shelving, which is also why before I start a sales day, I look at my inventory and replenish. And then these are all the jams in the game, and once again, they're coordinated by season. So this is all the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. And just like with the fizzy brews, I make sure that I always have enough stock of the jams that are in that particular current season. And these are the jam makers. So, and then what I haven't done yet, let's give Teddy some more love. I have not modified this room. Clearly you can see it's really crowded. I do need to make this a bigger room. And I don't know if we're going to get more toys and more yarns and threads, but this could stay in a small room for now. But ultimately, when I expand again, I'm actually going to move this to the expansion area. And then I'm going to take this section, combine it with this section, knock out this wall so that I have a full room. And I'll add the door opening over here to the hallway so that eventually when you go down this hallway, kind of like an antique mall, if you're in the US, we have those here, where you have each little section that you can go into off the hallway. I'm not quite clear yet where I'm going to get my expansion in this game, because I'm already at the back wall here. So I don't know if we're going to go to the left or go up yet. But once I get that expansion and get it situated, of course, I'll post another video and show that. So I think we're pretty good to go ahead and get started. And I just want to double check one more thing. I want to look and see, make sure my vegetables are stocked, and that we have enough to get through the day. This is for new things that I create with the ether. I haven't fully exhausted that. Just getting started with 2 different ethers at the moment, but eventually these will be filled with those fruits and vegetables too. And I'm probably going to have to expand this market a little bit and create more room for the cheeses and the milks. The more ethers I make, the more milks and cheeses I make. So, all right, so let's go up here and give this thing on the counter a strike, and let's get the sales going. And while that's happening, we're going to run out and take advantage of the mining and so on. I've mentioned in another video over here, these little dots. Once you activate a buff, it will give you these little icons right here to show you what you're getting. So the daily one in the back where you get the RAM and the daily 10%. Then we have the mining, the big guy behind the store. And then we also have this guy as far as our profits go. That was the dragon. So those little icons show you what you're getting if you can't remember after visiting them. So really our material buff right now is mining. So let's go mine a little bit while we're getting some sales. Take a note in the upper right corner, I got $17,485.93. So $17,485. Our profits are going to increase for the day, so let's see how much we make. I don't need any more berries and apples. So let's do some mining. Oh, that activated the fairy. There are 8 fairies in the game that you can collect. They don't do anything at the moment, but you can have them follow you around if you want. And I'm hoping at some point the fairies do something, but for now it's just an achievement to collect all 8 fairies. Let's go back here and mine some of this crystals and rocks. Take advantage of the 3 times acquisition buff. Looks like we got plenty of these in storage, but we're gonna go ahead and just get them anyway. Why not, right? We're here. There's also a ferry behind here. Somewhere around here. Don't know where he's at. Oh, there he is. He, right there. Oh, and we got some additional profit margins. Nice. So this should be a really good sales day as far as profits go. I'm hoping anyway. So we got some rocks we can mine back here. Let's see what they give us. We got plenty of stone. I'll show you at the end of the sales day what you can do with that excess stone. Uh-oh. We leveled up our shop. Nice. Alright, let's mine some more. We're already at 18,000 in profit, so that's nice. You know, while we're here, let's just go ahead and get these apples. I don't know what day we're at in the season. I think we're in the middle of it. And I don't have my desired 1,500 apples. And why that matters to me is because when we go to spring, summer, fall, I can still be making the green whistle apple items, even though it'll be a different apple growing on the trees during the other seasons. So I like to overstock so that I can keep my shelves fully stocked up with every item from every season. And yeah, it's a little time consuming to do these trees. But the good news is there's this little troll, or I don't know what he's really called. He jumps out of one of these trees and gives you a bunch more. And that's kind of helpful when you get the buff for 3 times berry and fruit gathering. That's always a perk to have this little guy jump out and give you all those extra apples. We don't have that buff today, but we're already passing by, so we may as well just grab some apples while we can. So this is a sim game, shop simulator game. There are some things that I think that could be improved for the gameplay, whether it be farming, traveling around a little bit better. I would love to see the developer give us a traditional third-person view. That would really help out with the motion sickness factor. Because there he is. There's that little guy right there. You gotta activate him. And he gives you some extra apples. There you go. So while I would love to have that traditional third-person view where you can actually see the character, it would really greatly help on the gameplay factor as far as motion sickness goes. And I'm not the only one that's been commenting on the motion sickness. There is a plethora of other gamers out there that is crying for some kind of improvement because they're affected the same way I am when it comes to the gameplay. Like, I'm already starting to feel slightly dizzy from all the movement. And I do believe, hold on 1 second, there is a way to move in and out on the third person view, but that's the developer's version of third person, and it's really not third person. You're still in first person mode. Alright, let's go and get some more mining done. We're at 21,000, almost 22,000, so that's a $5,000 profit day, which is really nice. I would like to see more, so hopefully we'll get a little more before the sales season ends for the day. As you can tell from mining, I already have a lot in my inventory, but when I get that 3 times the amount buff activated, I enjoy running around and farming those, replenishing depleted stock, and always making sure that I have enough to do whatever I need to do. Plus, we don't know where the developer is heading with this game as far as improvements, expansions, updates, add-ons, tweaks, things like that. So what if at some point there's a building material that requires so much ore, or there's a quest where we have to trade in a certain amount of ingots for something else. So I don't want to have to run around and look for the stuff because I'm out. I'd rather have more than I need to anticipate and accommodate any changes or updates that get added to the game. I'm probably over-explaining myself a little bit, but I feel at this point the method of my madness is better explained if I talk about it. We'll go down here. And also some of these mining materials and crystals are rare. Rare meaning that there aren't that many. When we get across the water, you'll see there's some crystals and things that there aren't that many of. So getting 3 times the amount is kind of nice on those materials. Right now we haven't encountered that, but we will. So do we have any mining up here? Yes. And what do we get? Double bright. Okay. And let's move over here. We're not at our 1,500 minimum. It's not a thing for the game, it's my thing. I know when the season ends, I'm going to be utilizing these materials until they're depleted, until this exact same season comes around again. So by setting myself a stock limit, it enables me to make those items off season. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and fly across, and we're gonna fly over here to this island. Now this is the fishing bubble that tells you about the new fishing add-on. You can actually fish in these bodies of waters. Some fishes are common, some are not common, rare, and you have to buy the fishing rod inside your store, and then you can go fishing, which we may do during another video. At this time, I just want to, this sales day is probably come to a close for us right now, and I want to get the materials that I have the buffs for. So here's some blue crystals we can farm, get 3 times the amount of those. There are some turtles down here that we can get some materials from. We may as well while we're here. It's the only place to find the turtles in the game. Yeah, so I'm a little behind on my quantity desire. Well, why not? We're already here. And there's another blue crystal up here. And we already have enough of these amber crystals, but we'll get them anyway. No. there is a portal to go home right there down below. I'm not going to do that just yet. There's one across the water to the next spot that we go to. If we're done, we can always use that. Plus, you can also travel home within your menu. So you don't need a portal to go home. No more crystals. So the pink crystals are rare. There's only at one other location than this island to get them. And these royal peaches are, most of the trees are by the castle, but you got this one royal peach tree on this island, so I like to grab them while I'm here. And if you notice that little pink spot right over there, that's a unicorn. You can't get anything from it by walking up to it. You have to wait for it to land by your store and give you a gift. Oh, we're at the 1500 mark on these. So these aren't a necessity. Let's go ahead and milk our cows, or idle brawn as they're called in the game. There's also a fox over here. There's only one of him, so I always like to get him so I can make the materials from his product. Let's go get this crystal. And then we'll also go down and get the alligator. Well, to me it's an alligator, but to the game it's not. And here he is. Crocodile. There you go. Get some of their product. Oh, we got $25,777. So that's an 8,000 day profit. I'm not disappointed. That allows us to get an expansion and revitalize the store, which I'll do prior to the next video, because it is time consuming to watch somebody tear down walls and put up shelves and such. I'm sure there's plenty of videos showing how that's done out there. Once I get the expansion, modify my plans to expand the weapon room, we'll come back and do another video and show how that looks. So we got plenty of ember berries, so we're good there. I do like to get the animal products, such as the milks and the furs, because they make different things. And once you get the aether made, or ether made, however people are saying it, you get so many more milks and cheeses. So having a surplus of milk on hand is good. And then of course your furs give you bread, and you can sell yarns and stuff made from the furs. There's another portal, and there's another little kitty up there we can love on. I'm not going to get any more of this. I have over 2,000 of those. Let's love on the kitty. And you actually can rename the kitties in this game, which is kind of nice. Alright, so we don't need any more of those fairies. Let's see, do we need any? Oh, we got these fairies. Yeah, we're sitting pretty good with these too. We're at my desired 1,500 mark, so that's good. And we got some sheep, I think, up here, and a blue fox. The blue fox is rare, only one of him in the game. So we definitely want to make sure we get the blue fox. There's some red berries. Let's go grab that blue fox, and we'll mine some rare crystals up the hill. And then we'll come down here and get these peaches. Thank you, Mr. Fox. Alright. We really don't need all this stone, but I'll show you what you can do with that extra stone. Since we're mining and we're getting 3 times the amount of the ores and the crystals, we're also getting 3 times the amount on stone. The good news is you can trade in the stone for other materials, including rare materials. It's random, but it's always good to throw a few up into the stone eater and get whatever he's willing to give you in return. So the big red crystals that I just harvested over to my left are rare. Even if I don't have the buff active for 3 times the amount, I still like to come over here daily and get those red crystals and the pink ones that we saw on the other island. There's another location for the pink ones, but there's really only this location for the dragon blood shard. Let's get one of these berries and get this crystal. Looks like we got plenty of these, so I'm not going to go all the way back and get those. Another rare crystal that, oh, there's another fairy if you're needing one for your achievement. So there's another crystal that is also kind of rare in the game. There's a few locations to acquire it. It's not rare, but it's this one. And that's the out of boundium. And here's that unicorn I was showing you from our store island. You can't interact with him. But once he flies over to your store, you walk up to him and he gives you a gift. And so instead of going down here, there's another out of boundium here. And then there's one along the water and then one behind the castle. Since I have that 3 times mining buff, I actually want to get the out of boundium. I believe one of them is along the water's edge, right over there. And you can walk on water in this game. So if you're feeling a little holy and want to walk on water, go for it. You can fly and you can walk on water. I would love to see this developer add a swimming feature and items underwater to seek and go after. That would be a very nice expansion in the game. This crystal you see floating over in the distance above the mountains, I have flown over and activated it. It was during a different season. It didn't really do much for me other than give me an achievement and a buff for the day, but it really is a PIA to get to. A lot of time consumption to get on over there and to acquire it. Also, from time to time, you'll see an octopus over there. That also gives you, I think it's a 50% profit buff. And again, it's just time consuming. And the developer knows that, you know, the graphics for getting over there are very sketchy. It's probably something that's gonna get worked on for the future. But for the time being, you get to it once, activate it, that's great. If you have nothing better to do, I guess you could keep going over there and activating it. But it's just extremely painful to travel and the actual clock time to get to it. And then if you don't get it just right, you end up at the bottom of the mountain base, and you gotta climb and do it all over again. I mean, I did it for the achievement and got that satisfied, but it's not something that I want to do in this game continuously unless the developer makes the travel to it a lot better. These are the royal peach trees. So there are a few out in front of the castle, but there's also some within the castle courtyard areas. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest those while I'm here. Make sure I keep my stock up. There are out of boundium crystals higher up, but I have found that you have to be at a higher elevation to fly down to them. And it can be a little painful if you don't land just right. Again, time consuming, so I'm not going to go after those just now. The game movement is starting to mess with me a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of take the perimeter around and go out the main entryway. So I'm going to climb up these steps, but I'm not going to climb them going face forward because I'll get the spins, the motion sickness again. So I'm just going to keep going up these stairs, but keep my eye focused on a direction so I don't get dizzy. I highly doubt the developer is watching any of my videos, but on the rare occurrence that he or she is, please fix this so that we're not feeling ill while we're trying to play a video game. So I've already gone down there to get that crystal. I'm just going to fly to the front, harvest the peach trees, and kind of head on back. Yeah, I don't think my gameplay videos are as good as others. So I'm not so full of myself to think that the developer is watching my videos and taking to heart the things that I'm saying. But just that rare occurrence that just maybe I've mentioned the motion sickness factor in every video I've made of this game, in hopes that it was that rare opportunity where the developer does stumble upon it and listens. I'm hoping that it makes a difference for not just myself, but others that experience the same. Alright. Remembering we have the 3 times mining buff, I'm going to take advantage of every mining option I can before I head back to my store. And for those that may have not seen the other videos or not familiar with this game, the developer created this game in honor of his little Pomeranian dog called Teddy Bear, who's crossed the Rainbow Bridge and is no longer with us on our earthly planet. And I love the fact that the love from a pet owner was so strong that the developer created and committed to the development of such a cute game in honor of his beloved pet. I have 2 rescues. All of my pets have been rescues over the years. A few have passed on as well. And if you will go by the shop when we're done here, and I'll show you the little shrine I started building for mine. What I love that this developer has done is created the ability to create headstones and memorial things that you can decorate with to build your own memorial shrine for your beloved deceased fur pets, fur babies. So my 2 existing rescues are Gizmo and Loki. Gizmo is, oh, I have way too many of it. So I need those right now. No need to waste my time just yet. Let's go get, so this is the other location for the rare pink crystals. And there's another fairy. So if you're hunting the achievement, there's fairies all over the place for a total of 8. And you can get all 8 to follow you around, but they just don't do anything other than be your companion. Gizmo is 20 pounds. He is a Puggle Chihuahua mix. He was abandoned in a trash dumpster when he was approximately 4 months old. And he was actually rescued by a sanitation worker who was dumping the trash hopper one morning. So he picked the little puppy up out of the trash hopper. It rode around with him for a day. And at the end of his shift, he took it over to the local county animal shelter. And 3 months later, actually, I'm sorry, back that up. At the same time that Gizmo was rescued by the sanitation worker, we had already adopted Loki and Luna from a different shelter. And Loki and Luna came from a hoarded environment. There were over 80 chihuahuas in this 2-bedroom house. And the woman who owned the home was a hoarder, never left the home. So the animals multiplied and so on. Never had any vet treatments, nails trimmed, things of that nature. Food was scarce, so was water. And that many animals couldn't be taken out on leashes and walked, so those particular animals voided inside the home, both urine and feces. It became a condemned environment, and rescuers went to the home to rescue all 80 plus chihuahuas, and they thought they got them all until workers for the city that were condemning the home went back to the home and realized they couldn't get into the basement because the basement had flooded, and there was also a massive pile of clothing all over the floor in the basement, almost knee deep and traveling up the stairs to the basement. So they had to get hazmat suits and get down into that basement to get rid of all that those clothes that were wet and moldy and stinky. And also the light bulbs and overhead lights in the basement and the stairwell didn't work. So when they finally got the appropriate personnel to go in and clean up this basement, further back into the basement, they discovered 30 animal cages, and inside of each cage were more chihuahuas. So over 100 chihuahuas rescued from this home. So the shelter put a chihuahua rescue adoption event in play in South Bend, Indiana. And I was given an update of that happening, and we went for that event, stood in line out in front with everyone else that was also there for the same reason. And we had seen a little chihuahua, black one, online that we were interested in, and we called about it, put in our request for it. When we got there, we let them know we were there for her and asked to meet her. And when they brought her into this interaction room, they also brought her buddy, And they said that both of them were stuck together like glue, were in neighboring cages to each other in the basement, and were inseparable since rescue. It is suspected that the little black girl chihuahua that we were going after was a breeder dog. She had really huge nipples. And the little dog that would never leave her side, we suspect was possibly one of her offspring. And probably mated with her too, for all we know. They estimated the little black one was approximately 3 to 4 years old, and they estimated her little smaller buddy at 2 to 3 years old. We renamed them Luna and Loki. And it was quite an experience getting Luna and Loki accustomed to humans, because apparently they'd been in a dark, infested, ignored basement for so long that both were emaciated. Every bone in their body was exposed. They were terrified of us. They didn't know what being outside was like. We had to take them out when it was evening time or dark because the bright light from the sun hurt their eyes. They didn't know that you do potty outside. They didn't know what grass looked like or felt like. Air, bees, butterflies, flowers. They didn't know anything. They didn't know human touch, human love, affection, food. They ate like it was their last meal at every single meal. They were completely unmanageable animals based on where they had come from and how they had lived out their first few years of life. But over time, they became trustworthy of us, and eventually started coming a little closer, allowed us to pet them, wouldn't let us pick them up. But they started coming out of the corners and from behind furnishings and playing with toys that they didn't know existed. Eventually, Luna started jumping on my husband's recliner at night and inspecting him, sniffing him out. Eventually got a lick or two, and that made him cry, real tears. And eventually Loki did the same with me. And after having them for approximately 5 months, we felt that they were coming around and we were making progress. We were patient. We thought we were doing everything right. We lived on a big farm, 100 acres. So there was plenty of room for them to run around and get exercise and develop their muscle structure and their bone structure with movements and playing outside. It was so neat to watch them frolicking and running and leaping and jumping outside and exploring and, nose to nose with a butterfly. It was like the first time for them for everything. And it touched our hearts. We absolutely loved the fact that these dogs were prospering and allowing to be the dogs that they were meant to be. And then one day, a hunter from out in the woods that ran along the edge of our farm field trespassed onto our property and tried to get the attention of our dogs, thinking it was cute. And our dogs went leaping and frolicking towards him like they did with us at that point, thinking that he was also a friend. And the hunter ended up accidentally killing him, or Luna. I cannot tell you how our hearts were broken. We saw this happen in front of our eyes. Loki saw it happen. It was one of the most heartbreaking moments that we've ever encountered. And we were so heartbroken we couldn't get through one day into the next. It was absolutely devastating. But more than anything, Loki became so heartbroken that he didn't eat, he didn't move. We had to pick him up and carry him in a laying position outside and lay him in the grass and try to encourage him to use the bathroom, and he just wouldn't go. And after 3 days, we noticed him looking thinner and just laying there, motionless, lifeless. And we took him to the vet. Vet checked him out. He was fine. And he said, he's dying, but from a broken heart. You need to go get him a buddy to bring him back to life again. We were not ready for that. We were not ready to go find another dog to replace Luna. And we really balked at that idea because nothing could replace Luna and the love that we grew for her. But we loved Loki too. And so we took the vet's advice. And while my husband was working, I went to several different county shelters, some private no-kill shelters. I put a post out on Facebook, we're looking for a rescue, not to purchase. We spent a whole solid week driving around, I did, with Loki every single day, introducing him to potential small breed dogs that were up for adoption. And this here, by the way, is the developer's shrine, memory shrine for Teddy Bear, his dog. I always like to come up here and just pay my silent respect because I understand the loss and the pain you go through when you lose a pet. Loki wasn't interested in any dog we introduced him to. He completely not interested until the very last shelter that we visited. And we asked if there were any small breed dogs. They only had one. And they brought out Gizmo, who was a 5-month-old puppy at the time. And for the first time in 2 weeks, Loki perked up. They sniffed each other's peckers. They started leaping and frolicking in the area. And Loki basically picked Gizmo, so we adopted him on the spot and brought him home. And it was very, very hard for my husband. There's Luna right there. And these are the other two I had before I met my husband, Viper and Lucy. They were also Chihuahuas. But there's Luna's stone. Anyway, it was very hard for my husband to latch on to Gizmo. Me too, but I had more because I knew Gizmo needed a fair shot. And my husband kind of gravitated more towards Loki at the end of the workday when he came home than he did with Gizmo. And Gizmo was just a puppy at the time, so he was just interested in anyone that would give him attention. So kind of in a way, Gizmo was, I paid more attention to, and my husband paid all of his attention towards Loki. But when he was at work, I paid attention to both equally. But then one day, Gizmo jumped on my husband's lap and licked his face. And from that moment forward, Gizmo has been my husband's dog. This dog cannot function when my husband isn't around. My husband comes home for work, Gizmo's tail's going 90 miles a minute. He's barking and leaping and jumping. He's so excited. And when Dad's around, he is attached to Dad's somewhere on his body part. Loki has become what I call a tit baby. He wants to be in my arms constantly, always upside down for a belly rub, always kissy. Both dogs are best buds. They're best buds with the cat, kitty kitty. Everybody is happy. Gizmo's 5 years old. Loki is 7 or 8. And that is our rescue story. The good, the bad, the ugly. So we're at the end of a sales day here. We have 25,777 up in the upper right hand corner. I think we paid our employees already, so we don't have any loans. We're good. So the next time I log into the game, I will buy an expansion and I will redesign the weapon room area for more space. And there's also more weapons I can get to. And we will come back for another video next time on whatever progress I've made. In the meantime, if you're looking for a pet, please don't go to a puppy store or puppy mill. I understand people like purebreds and they want to buy from breeders and things, but there are so many more rescues in need of a forever home, in need of love and attention and patience. Some of these dogs are older and only have a few years left. Some are larger breeds that can't move into apartments or can't go overseas when someone in the military has been restationed. There are so many animals in these shelters that are sad and really want someone to love them and give them a shot. Please consider going to your local shelter and adopting a forever pet and giving them the love and the chance that they need. I really can't stress enough how rewarding that is for both you and the pet that you adopt. So on that note, I'm Anna. Sorry about all the emotional drama that I talked about during the game, but I think it serves a purpose if it sends a good message to someone out there watching and listening. And I hope you enjoyed the updates in the game, and we'll get together again for another session of Teddy's Haven. And thank you all for watching and supporting these videos. If you like what you see, please comment, please share. Not looking to make any money or anything, but I would like to see the subscribing grow a little bit because that will give me motivation to make more. And I'm also thinking about doing some other games as well. So, you know, if you like what you see and don't mind what I do, please like, share, support, and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see or what you think I can do differently. I'm open to suggestive criticism. Have a good day, all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.